Well, now that I'm looking back at the weekend, I have to say the funniest thing was that Trump made that appearance at the Easter egg roll at the White House Easter festivities. And he gets up there, he's flanked by Melania and the Easter Bunny, and proceeds to give this, loquacious presser on the status of the Iran war. And a day before, every liberal on social media was talking nonstop about Trump having dropped from view, how he was probably dead, or at least grievously hurt, down and out at Walter Reed Medical Center. He didn't go to Mar-a-Lago, Sam. There's something going on. He's not doing well. And then he goes to the party and drops one banger after another. Gotta love this president. Sam Urjovsky here, folks, behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings and welcome. Sam at whatsrightshow.com. That is my email. Find me there. I read every email personally, and I try to get back to you as quickly as possible. At What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. By the way, Nate Silver, the hilariously wrong predictor of elections, Nate Silver, the one and only, created an infographic. Nobody had heard from Nate Silver in months. And so Silver decided to put together this graphic. Robbie, did you see this? The infographic shows a bunch of circles. And I'm not going to put it up here. It's just, bear with me here. Circles, and they're representative of certain accounts on X. And it has Elon Musk, by the way, the biggest circle, as one of the most the most influential account on the platform. I mean, go figure, he owns the platform. You would expect him to have some influence. And there's a bunch of names that we know. The biggest circles are red. And they're actually, the most circles are red, but there's some notable blue circles on there, including Barack Hussein Obama. So you go through this, and it was like Nate Silver and the left today had this, they're having this thing. Like, oh, aha, we gotcha. Look at what a dumpster fire of MAGA orgasms is going on over there on X. And I'm laughing. I said, now do Blue Sky. Go on Blue Sky. By the way, everybody on Blue Sky thought Trump was dead on Saturday. Well, I don't know. I don't know. He clearly was working. You can't win. By the way, Trump cannot win. Have you noticed? If he goes and plays golf at Mar-a-Lago, he's playing golf. He's playing. No, there was something going on. And I'll tell you what was going on. What was going on was we were busy rescuing a soldier. Whatever. So, yeah, Blue Sky. By the way, somebody did, I think I saw it did a comparable study on Blue Sky, and it's a bunch of small, sad, blue circles. And this is the difference, right? This is so disingenuous to constantly berate Twitter for being some sort of a right-wing echo chamber. Our side, we do not need to have our opinions, our beliefs validated at every turn. We like debate. And personally, I can tell you this, the best thing that happened to Twitter was when Elon Musk took it over and got rid of all the ninnies there that were constantly limiting the reach of conservative accounts, deliberately throttling conservative voices because, of course, they did not meet the orthodoxy standards of the very liberal people running the joint. And it's actually the leftists that don't want to hear a differing opinion. But my take on Twitter is this, and it's important. I understand that when it comes to, I get this, when it comes to social media, it's not always 100% representative of where the country is at, but it is a sliver of politically engaged, involved people. And in that sense, something can be deduced from it. And my opinion on this always has been, Why are conservative voices more prominent on X? It's because when you provide true free speech, when you provide a forum for people to actually share their opinions, yeah, you're going to get a lot of insanity. Yeah, you're going to get leftists. Yeah, you're going to get the woke right, the idiots out there, the conspiracy theorists, et cetera, et cetera. But by and large, a lot of common sense conservatives are going to come out and play. And that's because there are a lot more of us than we're led to believe. And it's interesting because what Twitter used to be, okay? What Twitter used to be was a place where the left could affirm its elite opinions and standing as the bulwark against Trump, MAGA, and all things, conservative. And look, you do away with the throttling of conservative accounts, and all of a sudden, look at this, they're blossoming. So okay, I thought that was an interesting story. By the way, Trump's approval numbers today have shot up, mid-40s now, 47%. I thought was the number. So those results came out yesterday. Rasmussen reports, by the way, he's had poll numbers in the mid-30s for a bit, and so this is telling. And in fact, Republicans, even though our party is filled with absolute losers in Washington, remain in higher standing than the Democrats. Well, I saw this. Okay. Yesterday, Harry Enton on CNN, he delivered this short segment on polling, standing of the Democratic Party, and looked back retrospectively at past midterm elections where the Democrats had won a lot bigger of an advantage in the past elections, higher polling numbers, much higher polling numbers for the Democrats, an interesting spread. This is what he said.
Let's just take a look at this. Net favorability. Party ahead at this point. Midterm years with the GOP president. In 2018, Dems were up by 12. In 2006, on net favorability, which party you like more? Dems were ahead by 18. Republicans are actually ahead on net favorability at this point by 5 points. So Democrats are just simply put running behind their previous benchmarks, and they need to be running well ahead of them if they want to take back the United States Senate.
Yeah, this is interesting, of course, and we know this now. I caution you all to not sit down and think the party, the race, and everything is over. Okay, that it's won. That's not the case. I'm just saying, and this is the best thing and best news for Trump, is pretty much anything shy of a complete shellacking in the midterms for Republicans will be perceived as a huge victory for the incumbent administration. And that's what I'm getting. This is, in fact, all of these sort of eulogies that are already being written for Republicans. If it doesn't truly come to pass, it's going to be a huge benefit to Trump and to the administration. Now, this all ties into also, and this is very important, we get focused on national politics, on what's going on in Washington. But the gubernatorial contests, and there are several, are also important. In Florida, Byron Donalds still massively ahead. I think Fishback a distant second in the primary. Byron Donalds ahead, of course. If you're looking at the generic Democrat and the candidates running on the Dem side. So it looks pretty good in Florida, one would expect. Wisconsin, did you see this? Wisconsin, last polling that came out shows the governorship flipping from Democrat to Republican. And then there's California. Now, folks, a word about California. Well, the top Democrat running in the election, and remember, California has something called it's not quite an open primary; it's a jungle primary, and it's a term. It means basically the top two vote getters advance to the final round, irrespective of party. Right? If one of them's a Satanist and gets the nomination, gets the second most votes, then he'll be in a runoff against the major party candidate. Well, here, yeah, you got Chad Bianco, you've got Hilton on the Republican side. Steve Hilton got an endorsement from Trump. I'll talk about that in a minute because I don't necessarily think this was the shrewd move. Just as the top Democrat is finding himself in a little bit of a tight spot of his own making. Now, who is the top Democrat in the California race right now to succeed Gavin Newsom, whose term limited out, and besides that, he wants to become our next president? Whoa. Who is it? Well, it's none other than Mr. Swalwell. That's right, Eric Swalwell. Chitty Chitty Fang Fang is, formally betrothed to the alleged Chinese spy. He's been denying this vehemently. And I noticed something over the past really 48 hours. Kind of started percolating over the weekend. I didn't know where it was headed, but it looks like top Democrats are getting ready to Me Too Swalwell. Now, yeah, they haven't. Are they even done with Cesar Chavez yet? I thought they wait to do this until you're dead if you're a Democrat. Well, Swalwell is a quote unquote rising star in the Democratic Party. And the only reason Swalwell is a rising star in the Democratic Party is because the Democratic Party is filled with the biggest bunch of idiot losers, against whom, by comparison, Swalwell is, God's greatest gift to the universe. And remember that. Okay, well, with the allegations, I've got them here. Look, this all started with the Fang Fang FBI files. Remember, there was a push to release the Fang Fang file, and what did I tell you here? I said it's not going to be about the sex. That part of it's going to be interesting. The alleged physical, romantic, cultural, transformative relationship between Swalwell and Miss Fang Fang. That's not going to be the real story. The real story is going to be that she, in the FBI files, I presume this is the case, that she actually had ties to the Chinese Communist Party, and that the Chinese Communist Party funneled Chinese money to Swalwell and have him compromised. And by the way, it's going to potentially expose other people because this never happens in a vacuum. It's not like the Chi-Coms came together and said, you know what, that one guy from Central California, we're going to compromise just him. It doesn't work this way. So they've got their sights set on little Eric, and I think they got him. And I think that, if she was, and remember the allegations that Fang Fang was a bundler, and that's, a parlance for someone who, in context of fundraising, basically brings donors together, okay, and holds a party or a get together. And it was okay, inviting 20 people, and a lot of times what happens, these ops will invite randos in, and the people are all getting money from the Chinese Communist Party somehow, and they're all told to donate up to their individual maximum limit to Swalwell. And this would be obviously a huge, if proven to be true, would be a huge major violation. It seems to me that this Me Too stuff is coordinated. One of the ladies that came forward is represented by a top Democrat lawyer. Okay? The lawyer's name is Cheyenne Hunt, Gen Z for Change Executive Director. What do you think her politics are? Okay? I'll give you a clue. She's not a product of the Tea Party movement. So this Ms. Hunt, aka head of Gen Z for Change, all right, is a lawyer, she's a Democratic activist, and she announced yesterday that she's working with multiple women who are preparing to come forward to accuse Congressman Swalwell of sex harassment. So this means it's a hit. Now, here we can speculate. Please, I'm going to do this. But remember, this is just speculation. They're getting ahead of something much bigger. I mean, by the way, that's a reasonable thing. What it is could be implications of espionage, right? Of working actually with a foreign government through Fang Fang and her associates with China. Could be something like that. Could be a massive campaign election problem. And remember, and this is a callback, you cannot forget that Swalwell is still sort of under investigation, theoretically, by the Department of Justice for his hinky housing situation. Remember, he got one of those loans. He got a loan where he swore that it was a full-time resident of a house that is in D.C. By the way, houses in D.C. or Virginia, I forget. But anyway, the greater D.C. area. The obvious problem with this is that in order for him to be a congressman from California, he has to reside, aka full-time, in his district. So one of two things, when you start signing stuff under penalty of perjury that you actually live somewhere else for purposes of getting a loan, you're either committing election fraud because you don't live in the district that you claim to be living in, or you're committing mortgage fraud, which is also a major problem. So no matter where he turns, Swalwell's sort of a dead goose, is, getting cooked. On top of it, this Fang Fang stuff, and he's a notorious stupor of young women. And this is the biggest crime, right? Remember, Democrats like to look askance at any form of emotional or physical intimacy between a powerful white man and a vulnerable young woman. Remember, the power dynamic is very important. Democrats, my lifetime growing up, I remember Democrats and the Now Gang, right? Remember the feminist movement? I always have to say this when we talk about these. And look, I'm not defending Swalwell here, okay? I think he's a pig. And I think he's nasty. I think his teeth are terrible. I think he looks like a weasel. And he spent years lying about Trump, and he's just a complete a-hole. But all this said, right, remember once upon a time, sort of in the last golden era of the Democratic Party, when they supported feminism meant equality with men, right? Women were strong. They were independent. They didn't need a man for anything. They didn't need anybody for anything. They could make it on their own. They could stand shoulder to shoulder, figuratively, literally, etc., with men. And it's these, I can already read the lawsuits. None have been filed that I'm aware of against Swalwell, but I know what they're going to say because the stories are already hinting at that the narrative is being crafted. These women are young. They're not 14. They're 19. They're 20. They're 21. Swalwell is not 19, okay? And it's like, okay, well, what does the law about the age of majority even mean? And why are we making infants out of grown women? Now, did I have good judgment? I can't speak for women, okay? But I can speak for me, yours truly, the host of the What's Right show. So I was an idiot at 19 compared to where I am now, all right? But if I had decided with and this is a proven fact, by the way, women's brains develop faster, earlier than men's, okay? That's why a 19-year-old woman, really for the most part, is not interested in a 19-year-old guy. They're just on different planets. But if my undeveloped brain at 19 had decided to go rob a bank or steal a wallet in Japan, if I may call back to our favorite Supreme Court justice, if I had decided to steal a wallet in Japan, I was an adult. I'm going to get tried for it. I'm going to go to jail. I can't say, oh, well, you know what? I'm still a kid. That doesn't work. And this is my problem with this Me Too stuff. So, okay, I got to get, what does it mean for California? We're getting off topic here, Robbie, but there's a lot to unpack here. I'm excited. I'm getting the popcorn out as we speak. Sam Rajovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. The What's Right Show brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash, 800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Tiger Woods is getting sued. I don't know. This is where I put on my common sense personal injury lawyer hat. And I got to tell you, this thing just stinks. Sam Rajovsky, behind the What's Right microphone, Nevada's favorite recovering Californian, and personal injury attorney, Sam and Ash Injury Law, shameless plug. You hear the story. TMZ reported late yesterday that Tiger, his victim, lawyered up. And I'm like, victim? What's I thought it was a single crash rollover. That's how little I care about this Tiger Woods story. And incidentally, I'm not here to apologize for Tiger. You want my quick take? Because I haven't talked about this much. If Tiger is driving on painkillers, and he's done this before, he's crashed cars before, and this is what he's doing, then you got to throw the book at him. And Tiger's a despicable guy. I know some of you, out there, very big fans of him and what he's done in the sport of golf. But he's a cheater, and he's a despicable person, and he's cheap. And he treats people around him like that aren't of his status like peasants. So there's a lot of things I don't like about Tiger Woods, but let's get back to what's going on here. So TMZ reporting that his victim has lawyered up, and I'm reading the story, Robbie, and we almost missed it. I had to go all the way through the story to figure out what the hell happened to the victim. The guy's name, I think, is Bullard. It doesn't matter what the guy's name is. Jeremy Bullard. And he's going to be represented by a guy named Fagnano. I think that's how you pronounce it. Fagnano. I don't know, Robbie. Maybe something different. But this is how it's spelled. I'm giving it to you. A phonetic pronunciation. He's a personal injury attorney who specializes in auto, truck, motorcycle, bicycle, and pedestrian accidents. So, of course, now my antenna has gone up. You know what this guy's doing? This lawyer? There was no injury in this accident. I get calls from people who aren't injured, and I help them out. I give them advice. And then I tell them, well, listen, I'm a personal injury lawyer. I'm not going to make something here out of nothing. If you're hurt, you're hurt. And I represent people who have life-altering injuries, and some people who have injuries that go away, and everything in between. But I don't take cases where the person just is not injured. And the guy never complained of an injury. This guy, apparently he was an auto detailer, and the victim here, an auto detailer, and he's pulling a little trailer, that he has all his stuff on, and the iodized water, whatever they use. I use special water to wash cars. So the Tiger clipped the back end of the trailer, and he caused about $5,000 of property damage. Now, Tiger, and specifically his insurance company, is going to have to cover the loss of that property damage. I mean, that much is clear. And they're going to have to, obviously fix any damage to the road or to a stop sign or a light pole or anything else that he hit along the way. Okay? But that's all pretty straightforward. This guy here, this personal injury lawyer, is self-promoting. That is what he's doing. I'm going to attach myself to this Tiger Woods story. Never mind, I'm not going to make any money on it. Never mind that it's bringing a personal injury claim for non-existent injuries is shady AF, but I'm going to do it anyway, says this guy. That's what this is about. And there's so much of this just, guy, sometimes my industry just drives me nuts and I'm disgusted by it. 10 out of 10 chances that this Fagnano guy is a top donor to the Democratic Party. I'll have to look that up. It's an allegation. I did not verify it, but most of these PI trial lawyer people are complete left-wing lunatics. Okay. By the way, Sam and Ash injury law, quick mention. Please just call me. Okay. You don't deal with a Fagnano kind of guy. All right. You don't need a crash clown. A real lawyer. You listen to me, you hear me on the show. And by the way, if there's a problem, I'm reachable. And sometimes I don't talk to every client, but when they ask to speak to me, and there's a few of you out there that know this is absolutely true, when you ask to speak to me, I will call you and I talk to you directly. I exist, okay? Not just here on the radio and on the podcast. Okay, samandashlaw.com. That's the website. 800-304-2000. That's the number. Most important two pieces of information if you or a loved one have been hurt in any kind of an accident, any kind of injury. samandashlaw.com, because you deserve what's right. All right. There's a problem with the people's... I get to Swalwell in a minute, but since Swalwell loves Chinese communist hotties, I thought we could talk about North Korea for a minute. What do you think? Well, did you hear what Trump said about Rocket Man? He's getting asked about North Korea and nukes in North Korea. He goes, "Come on, Rocket Man loves me." He's like, Kim loves me. We're friends. And then he got serious. Trump got serious, and he goes, "You know what he says about what he would say about Joe Biden?" And then Trump basically says that Kim Jong-un was like calling him retarded. So it was really bad. It was really, really bad. So this video, I got to share this with you. Speaking of North Korea, there are the North Korean government. They're trying to steal information from tech companies in the West. Okay. I mean, why not? They've watched the Chicoms do it. Just on the other side of the border, the Chinese have been stealing Western, IP for as long as I could remember. So, the North Koreans, they're not the sharpest bunch. Plus, they're, poor people are getting murdered every 2 seconds. They're like, hey, whatever they're doing over there in China seems to be working for them. We're going to try that too. So what they do is they take trained agents, they teach them English, which is not a skill that is encouraged by the regime at all, except for spycraft. So they teach them English, and then they try to get them hired out as IT, contractors. Now, before Zoom, okay, and remote work. So before when people used to have to go into the office, it would have been a little bit trickier for a North Korean DPRK agent to get a job working for, say, Microsoft. But now it's easy, right? All these remote workers, right? They could just hire somebody and on Zoom. And so these companies are trying to weed out these, agents. They don't want people stealing their trade secrets. Here is the tactic that they're using. Listen to how hilarious this is, because they got the guy. They literally got the guy. Well, you be the judge. By the way, his English is terrible. I apologize, but, this is what it is.
We get like a lot of imposter candidates, particularly North Koreans, like posing as like people that they're not. So one of the tests that we do is trying to get them to say something like, Kim Jong-un is a fat, ugly pig. Could you say that for me?
Look at this guy's face.
So, no, Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea.
Yeah, I just see like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could, because it's one test so that I know that you're not North Korean.
His life is flashing before his eyes.
Yeah.
Can you say it?
I'm cutting a bit of this off. It just gets on and on. He will not say it. He won't say it. He won't come out and say it. So they'll eventually, I think, figure out how to get around this. But for the moment, it's that's that. Okay, so Swalwell. I know I'm fascinated by this too. By the way, if you're just joining us, Swalwell is getting Me Too'd. Swalwell, there's a bunch of people now, young women, adults, okay, they're all adults, coming forward saying that Swalwell was, aggressive in pursuing sexual relationships with them, okay? And they've got some left-wing activist lawyer coming forward and representing them. By the way, here's the extent of this. Hunt says, this is the woman, that allegations range, this is the woman, the female lawyer, the activist lawyer, the Democrat lawyer. So this is not a Republican lawyer going after Swalwell, it should be noted. The allegations range, quote, from uncomfortable comments to potentially criminal conduct, and follow, and this part really gores my ox here, follow a pattern of manipulation and abuse of power. Yeah, again, the key detail here is that it's coming from the left. It's not coming from the right. And, of course, the other thing is abuse of power. These are all adults. I just don't make grown women, don't turn them into infants. Oh, but he was a powerful man. Oh, my goodness. He was a congressman. Ah, I couldn't resist. I couldn't say no to my boss. Like rape is rape, right? Guy corners you physically, right? But, I couldn't say no. He had concert tickets. He was going to take me to Coachella. I've had cases, people, oh my gosh, I've seen that too. But I couldn't say no to the concert tickets. He offered to pay my rent. Okay. It's abuse of power. Yeah, that's a great question. You know what? I bet Kristi Noem, by this definition, victimized Corey Lewandowski. He was her little rent boy. Hey Corey, yeah, you wanna put out? I'm gonna fly you around on DHS 1. It's a great point, Robbie. I just can't take this. Why is it happening now? They want to take him out. Look at the California governor's race. This is important. Okay? The California governor's race, there's something here. Okay? Steve Hilton, Republican, first place, 14.7%. Chad Bianco, Republican, 13%, in third place. In between them, think of this like the filling to a little Oreo cookie, is this Mr. Swalwell character at 13.7%. You could say they're all within, call it 2 points of each other from Bianco to Hilton. And so I'm saying this is like, so why take out Swalwell? They don't need him to drop out if he's the front runner. Katie Porter at 11.3% is the next runner up. And do I have to say this again? Robbie, is Katie Porter, and I know her. Katie Porter is not a good candidate at all. If you think that Swalwell is bad, Katie Porter is worse. Why would they take him out? And by the way, there's an election coming up, right? And that I think that's the key to it. Do they want to run somebody else and dump him and get rid of him before the midterms? Are they worried? Because remember, all these districts in California changed. And there's something else I want to say about that. The conventional wisdom, the sort of the reductive, basic, simple way to approach the California redistricting efforts is that uniformly the new districts favor Democrats. Now, the answer to this is yes, but because in the California legislatures, let's be honest, Gavin Newsom behind all this, in their zeal to create all these new districts and to disenfranchise Republicans, kind of tit for tat with what was going on in Texas. In California, they created, in every safe Democrat district now has to fight for Republican votes. I mean, think about Ray Garcia. Okay, Long Beach, he used to just, Ray Garcia, gay guy, Democrat, Hispanic. That's his biography, all right? And he was running in a district that was like, I don't know, like 65% Hispanic. I mean, don't quote me on this. I'm just from the top of my head talking about it. Now he's got to go fight for votes down in Huntington and Newport Beach. I don't think he's going to be very popular down there, is all I'm saying. Now, is he going to is likely to win? I mean, maybe. Depends on who runs on the Republican side. We'll see what happens in the primary. But, and I say it's a big but, it's still not in the bag. And I think the Democrats are beginning to panic on this, and they're cleaning house. This always happened. By the way, Rush would talk about this. Remember during the Obama administration advanced the midterms, all of a sudden they went in and they just started, the Department of Justice under Obama began arresting Democrats. And started arresting a bunch of people in Congress. And you say, well, what's going on? They're cleaning house before the midterms. Now, they have to do this pretty quickly because midterms are coming up, and they get special dispensation to get candidates in. Some of these elections are going to start to close up, but regardless of what it is, this is a haphazard sort of effort to clean house, and it smacks of desperation. So let's talk about poll numbers. Trump's poll numbers are up. Why? Turns out Iran's a lot more popular than even people like Cernovich on our side are acknowledging. Number two, the war is going really well in spite of everybody's best efforts to poo-poo it. The weekend was excellent, right? We had press conferences like this one from Pete Hegseth, and people are foaming at the mouth over this, by the way. Play the tape.
One downed airman evaded capture for more than a day, scaling rugged ridges while hunted by the enemy. When he was finally able to activate his emergency transponder, his first message was simple, and it was powerful. He sent a message, God is good. In that moment of isolation and danger, his faith and fighting spirit shone through. You see, shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday. Flown out of Iran as the sun was rising on Easter Sunday. A pilot reborn, all home and accounted for, a nation rejoicing. God is good.
I'm hearing the Air Force One theme in the background. I am seeing a bald eagle swoop through the air. I am seeing a cross on a hill lit by the morning sun. I am seeing imagery that literally is like cloves of garlic and crucifixes to a vampire to the left. All right, the leftists are listening to this. Talking about God. But to Americans, this is great. To everybody who supported Trump, this is great. And I'm thinking about me because I don't go to church. I'm a doubter. I'm a sinner. I'm a saint. I think there's a song about that. I'm just an ordinary guy. And I'm not a Christian zealot. I like Christians. I like Jews. I like Buddhists. I like everybody that doesn't want to kill me. Okay? The Islamists, we've broken up. So I'm not offended by this. You're not offended by this. Nobody's offended by this. It's just the people that put gay pride flags in every single classroom across America, or they wanted to. Okay, they're offended by this. So, what's cooking? And again, the Swalwell hit, you look at Trump's polling numbers going up. The war is more popular than we believed. We have these great victories. We got patriotism. They're worried the country's actually going to unify behind Trump over Iran. That this war actually not a wedge issue, but a unifying issue. And will be wind in the sails of Republicans who've supported it. It's an interesting thing. So pay attention to these signals, right? We have to do our own intel. And together here on the What's Right show, that is exactly what we do. Monday through Friday here on the What's Right Media Network. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email, at What's Right Sam on X. Get the podcast if you don't already. If you're listening to this on the radio, you're missing out. You can have the show first thing in the morning, every morning. Well, Monday through Friday at least. Now, What's Right Show. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Click to subscribe. The price is right. It's free. All right, folks, I'll see you tomorrow.